Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope. I know as we are starting to reassemble, I wanted to go ahead and give everybody just a few minutes or two to get reconnected. And then we'll have to listen to me talk a little bit before we get to the second half of this after lunch check-in, where we actually have some stuff over here over my shoulder. As a thank you for everybody for attending, we'll start giving away. We actually have a raffle going on today. So thank you for taking the time to attend. I hope the morning sessions were great for everyone. I was able to stick in my head in a few of them, and they all seemed energetic and interesting. I am looking forward to when we are able to get these all processed and posted online. Both for those of us who couldn't be at all three sessions simultaneously somehow. We all can't be our Vice President, Jim, who has 5 devices on his desk right now. If you could see him in the support channel, he looks like DJ Jim Heron running 5 different screens and 5 different things, and it's masterful to watch. But because we can't do that and can't take in 3 simultaneous streams of data at the same time, we are going to be posting videos of all of today's sessions up on our YouTube channel here, and we'll let everyone know over email. So if you have already registered for the event, great. If not, please make sure you register for future events and join our group. We'll be sending out links to our YouTube channel at youtube.agilerichmond.com, where we post all of our monthly meetings and the sessions here as part of miniVAte. Which also reminds us we have monthly meetings. We as a community bring together speakers, new and old speakers, experienced and fresh with new perspectives to offer what they have to our community, both as opportunities for learning and opportunities for conversation. So now that miniVAte is winding down, we will be reaching out and actively bringing up our speakers for June, July, and August here during the summer, schedules permitting. We realize that the summer can always be a challenging time for attendance, but everyone taking the time to hopefully recharge a bit. But recognizing that things are still going on, there's still a lot of people working from home. We still plan to offer monthly meetings during the summer. So if you are interested in speaking, if you've been watching some of the sessions today and thinking, I could do that, or even I would offer you, challenge you, look at the sessions and saying, I would, but I don't have anything new to say. All the stuff that I've been talking about has already been said. I would bring some of what Ash was bringing to us this morning. We may have heard some of the things that have been said from other people. What we haven't heard is your voice and your experience and your perspective that makes it uniquely relevant to you and all the people like you who may be struggling with the same things you went through. So again, if there's something you have, a message you want to bring to our community, we would love to have you. The easiest way is to reach out to either events@agilerichmond.com or to president@agilerichmond.com. Both of those are conveniently mailing lists for all of us on the board, so that we can all equally respond and work together as a high-performing agile team. Crazy. So now that we're getting a critical mass of people back here together, I want to take a few minutes and A, say thank you, but B, follow up on some of what Ash brought to us this morning around the Agile Richmond communities and some of the things we've noticed and some of the challenges we are now hoping to rise to over the next year. So I'm going to do my best, do some screen sharing, and make sure that all this works right. So bear with me momentarily. Share my desktop and present. Okay, Robin, I see your smiling face. Can you give me a quick thumbs up if you're seeing? Thank you, ma'am. So this is the interactive portion of this afternoon's conversation until we get to the raffle. I want to thank everybody for coming to miniVAte. miniVAte is the online, smaller version of our annual conference that we have every year. We've been doing Innovate Virginia now much longer than I've been a member of Agile Richmond. I think we hit 10 years 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So we're now pushing either 13 or 14 years, interrupted solely by this thing called COVID, which left us unable to get together face to face last year. Well, last year being in March, when we wanted to have Innovate 2020 and then Innovate 2021. And so we said, instead of just waiting, we wanted to do a smaller version of this and get us online and learn how to make it so that we can still reach our community and still bring fabulous opportunities to learn from each other and learn together. So miniVAte is one of the many ways that Agile Richmond, you'll notice the other logo down there at the bottom of the screen, is reaching out to the community. We're Agile Richmond. I mentioned earlier this morning that I am lucky enough and fortunate enough to have been asked back in September of 2019 to take over from Joan Gammon, who had been the president of Agile Richmond almost since its founding for a very, very long number of years, and did a wonderful job. And Joan said it was finally time for her to step aside, and they asked me to become president. I've been incredibly lucky to inherit a wonderful board and a collection and community of people that have kept this Agile Richmond community up and running and alive. We do more than just a conference. We do monthly meetings and more. And it's the and more that I want to talk about briefly before we get down to raffles and prizes and the fun parts of the afternoon. This is where I have a note to myself. So I'll remember to go switch to miniVAte. And this is, like I said, this is the interactive portion of our session. So for those of you who've used miniVAte before, this should be old hat. For those of you who haven't, here's what I'd like to offer. I'm gonna make this full screen as well. Robin, can you see that as well? Thank you, ma'am. So if you have an opportunity to grab your mobile device of choice, or if you want to open another browser window on your browser and go to menti.com and use that number there on the screen. I'm not sure where I'm showing up in my little video window on your screen, but I'm going to point in all the directions because eventually you'll see the code 13954942. And here's the first question I want to ask everybody here. We're Agile Richmond. So when you hear the word Agile, what do you think about? Now let's just take a few minutes here to let, maybe not a few minutes, a minute or so to let responses come in. We've all done these word clouds. Agile fall, uh-oh. Sounds like some people could use some of the stuff that we talk about here at Agile Richmond quite a bit, if Agile fall is the world we're living in. Flexible, adaptable, continuous delivery, adapting to change, effective, passion, teamwork. Yeah, these are great. Agile is a significant portion of why we do what we do. And I mentioned our board, and I think to a person, we are all Agilists. This is what we do every day. Not Agile Richmond. Agile Richmond is what we do as our passion project when we're not doing the work that we do full time, being Agilists in the organizations we work with and help. This is the stuff that we believe in. This is getting back to this morning and Ash's conversation around the Agile Manifesto. These are the things that drive us to help change the world of work and help people in the middle of change not just survive, but adapt and succeed. So my second question, as I appreciate everybody here offering their reflections on the word Agile. How about the word Richmond? When you hear the word Richmond, similarly, what do you think about? Flying squirrels. Boy, as nervous as I am about being out in public, I am so glad baseball is back. Those people on the board who know me know how passionate of a baseball fan I am. Yeah, I'm happy to call Richmond home. I am not a native Richmonder. I'm a native Virginian, born and raised just outside of Lynchburg. Went to college and lived in Williamsburg for quite a few years. And then my wife and I moved to Richmond here almost 10 years ago. Richmond has always been my capital city, and Richmond is in all of its communities. We've lived in the West End. We lived out here in Midlothian. I've worked in several parts of town, from downtown to the West End to out here to all over the country. And Richmond is home for me. I think part of what is interesting about Richmond, when we start looking at our diverse culture, our different ways that we show up, we are a city that is we are artistic, we are hip, we are fun, we are livable, we are expressing an energy that not a lot of cities around the country really have. I've been fortunate enough to travel to Austin, which is the closest city from a feel of our town I can get, except for Austin's a lot bigger and a lot more traffic and a lot less livable and a lot less approachable. Richmond's a unique and wonderful place. And there's a reason I asked these two questions. Note to self, switch back to Keynote. Thank you, everybody, for participating. We are Agile Richmond. And we have been very fortunate to serve as that intersection of those two communities. We are both serving the Agile community and our home here in Richmond. And the last year has afforded us some fantastic opportunities. It has been challenging. It has been hard. It has been filled with things I don't think any of us anticipated, that I think as a city and as people, especially as Agilists, we have met and figured out, much like we do with many things. And to Ash's point this morning, how to use Agile and agility and the stuff that we believe to inspect, adapt, react, and exceed any of the expectations we thought we might get out of this year. And that's not to minimize the real and hard and difficult impacts of the last year. But over the last year, because we've been able to work from home, because we've been able to adapt to technology, because the need for change has been ever present. There was a fantastic article in Forbes talking about the digital revolution that organizations go through and digital transformation, and that the number one driver of digital transformation over the last 18 months has been pure necessity. We are working from home and working differently. The technology has changed, but more importantly, how we interact as people and as teams and as organizations has had to change as well. And because of that, we've been able to reach beyond our normal borders. Working from home and virtual meetings and meetups like this bring together people who normally wouldn't be able to get together. I've seen people at our monthly meetings from all over the country, and in some cases, outside of the United States, in Europe, in Japan, come to little old Agile Richmond because they wanted to hear the speaker talk about a topic. And prior to this past year, that would never have happened. We've been very fortunate as Agile Richmond to be one of the beneficiaries of this expanding bubble of what it means to be Agile. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful. And what about that bubble called Richmond? Before the pandemic struck, before we all ended up at home over the last year, I have over here on my wall Post-it notes and flip charts from the last time we got together as a board to have a conversation about what it means to be Agile Richmond and what it means to respond to our community. And part of the reason I had Ash come talk to us this morning is we need to make sure that we as Agilists are doing what we can to not only reflect the growing community of Agilists and what it means to be Agile, but also the growing community of what it means to be Richmond. So that both Agile and Richmond and the work that we do expand, become more inclusive, become more diverse, and become more reflective of the community we live in. And that has been our charge as a board. That has been our charge and our responsibility to you as our community. And we're excited for that. And we're going to have that show up really in 3 ways over the next year. miniVAte and innovate should be an opportunity for us as an organization to look at our community and say, hey, here's the stuff we've done and here are the things we're doing. Hey, customers, here's our iteration review. Are we doing the right things? Is this the right stuff? And are you getting the value you want out of us as a community? So here's our 3 features or epics. We're still refining these backlog items to make sure they're right sized and we have the right features and stories to turn these into action. But here's our 3 epics for the year. I want to talk about them really briefly before, again, I cede the floor to more fun things for us to do. The first one is this real big epic around transparency and openness. We as an organization have a responsibility around transparency and openness. It is one of the core values of every Agile framework that exists. It is one of the core values in what we do as Agilists. And so to meet that need, we are currently in the process of becoming a 501c6 public charity. That's new for us. It's new, and I would argue it's long overdue. It was one of my first things to do when I came in as president, was say we need to shift how we are as an organization. And what that means from a transparency and openness standpoint is, because we would be a public charity, when the IRS finally has the bandwidth to start reapproving applications and issuing letters of determination, that has a requirement for transparency and financial reporting. Because in order for us to be a public charity, we have a responsibility to our public. In order for us to be a public charity, we have a financial responsibility to be transparent with our budget and our finances every year and our tax documents that we will be submitting to the public. We have a responsibility to be transparent in what we do and how we're doing it to you, our community. And part of that as well is we want to open our board meetings to our members. Put an asterisk on the members for just a second. We want to come back to that. We do not want to go ahead and run things by ourselves. We'd like to think we're pretty good at it, but we know we could be better, and we know we could always use more voices and more help. And we also need to make sure our customers, our community, you, have a seat at the table and have an opportunity to influence our backlog and have an opportunity to reflect on the things that we are doing to make sure we are meeting your needs. Open board meetings is one of the ways to do that. And on top of that, we have a board. We have a fantastic board. We want to have a larger board and a more inclusive board. And so to do that, we are going to be opening up board seats and having board elections. If you would like to have a seat at the table and skin in the game in helping make Agile Richmond your community, we would love to have you join our board. And because we are accountable, we'll have regular elections, both of board members and of officers. So This sounds all touchy-feely. And the reason it's intentionally vague is we are waiting for the IRS to finally get things done so we can actually turn this into real. These are things that we've had in flight over the last year that the world has slowed us down a bit. But now that we are now opening back up again and things are starting to get moving in the right direction, these are the directions we're moving in for transparency and openness. The second one is expanding the circle. We've been very fortunate to watch that Agile circle expand thanks to all the things that happen with working from home and being virtual. But we also want to expand our Richmond circle. And so I've mentioned working with Ash. Ash has agreed to sit with us as a board and offer as an advisor from a diversity, inclusion, and equity standpoint, and from a revealing our blind spots and helping us think through the things that we aren't thinking of. We know that there are blind spots that we have. We try to do a pretty good job of being self-aware. We could always do better. On top of that, we have planned and are working through outreach programs to local schools and universities, for example, such as Virginia State and VCU, to broaden our membership and to offer more opportunities for people to come speak and come learn and come hear what's going on in our communities and how this Agile stuff is actually more accessible and more enabling than just about any other way of working you can come up with. And as part of expanding that circle as well, we were looking to actively recruit membership, especially to our board. As I mentioned, opening up board seats and looking for open elections. So everyone in our community has a voice into who we are and what we do and who our leadership is. We want to be a more representative container of our Richmond community and our Agile community. And the last thing we want to do is support other communities. Yes, there are other communities, and we're not in competition. That's the beauty part of this, is there is no competition. Agile is wonderful enough that there is enough room and enough thought and enough people that all of us can be successful. And the best way for us to be successful is to lift each other up. So we have been cooperating and are going to continue to cooperate and potentially even figure out ways to better partner with existing other Richmond area Agile groups like Scrum RVA, like Capital Combine, to highlight speakers, to highlight events, to share speakers and events, to offer them more opportunities and other ways to reach both of our communities, all of our communities. And we're also going to work with other regional Agile communities. I don't know if you guys know this, Richmond isn't the only place in the state with a vibrant and active Agile community. We've been very lucky to watch communities like Agile Charlottesville in the Charlottesville area, unsurprisingly. Agile 757, what down in Hampton Roads, where I'm from. Well, for 15 years. Go Tribe. Start to grow and expand. That's right, Robin. Go Tribe. Sorry, you have to go Tribe. To grow and expand. And we are here to help and support them in lots of different ways. Advising, offering help, offering amplification of their voices and events, and even in some cases, sponsorship. We've been lucky enough to be able to offer sponsorship to a few of these user groups to say, hey, we'll happily pay for your food for your meetups so that you can go ahead and tell people about miniVAte so you can actually come here. That's a great way to support these communities as they grow. We've been doing this for a while. We've been doing this since 2007. Officially, AgileRichmond.com is 2008. We have a lot to be able to share and a lot to be able to help. And we're excited to help all of us grow together. All right, it's 25 minutes, right on my time box. So I will open the floor to questions. I'm going to stop full screening this out. Stop sharing. Open the floor to questions. Anybody have any questions for me? Is everybody in a post-lunch food coma? Yes to the food coma. Yes, Shelly. Yes, Kat. Chris, thank you for the comments about the more diverse speaker selection. Thank you, Chris, for submitting. Thank you, everyone who submitted. and didn't get selected. We are happy to see the number of submissions we got for miniVAte. We are actively considering having another one of these things. I know as I probably look at a couple of our board members, they're like, really, do we really want to announce that? Well, I'm happy to announce that we maybe possibly want to, are considering. So far, this one feels pretty successful. So far, this one feels pretty good. And as I called it last night to our speakers when we did our quick technical test, this has been a very agile conference. And by that, I mean, we've in some cases waited till the last responsible moment to make decisions and to implement solutions. And now that we've learned, we're going to do some inspection and adaptation to make the next one better, easier, and more efficient. Hopefully this one was effective. So if you spoke, thank you. If you submitted to be a speaker and you did not get accepted, awesome. We're going to be reaching out to you. We have monthly meetings. We may have another miniVAte. We have hopefully, if everything keeps trending in the right direction, a possibility for an in-person conference next year. But there's no guarantee of that. So we need to do something else to help keep our community excited and to keep bringing great topics to you. So unless my board tells me I'm crazy, I'd say we have a pretty good chance of having another one of these here in the fall. Chris did ask one question in the chat. Thank you, Chris. What are you most in need of for success? Chris, if you can figure out a way to manage the finite nature of time or the linear nature of time, that would be ideal. When we look at Agile Richmond and we look at our board, this whole conference would be impossible without our board members. There are 6 of us, and that's it. The 6 of us have done everything we can in our volunteer time and our hours to bring this conference to you, and hopefully it has been useful. If I could clone every board member I have, I sure would right now. I don't know if they would clone me yet. I think there's a finite number of me that can exist before the world might implode, but I would at least clone them because I could not do this job as president without their help. So what do we need? Help. Help volunteering at monthly events. Help volunteering at face-to-face events. Help volunteering updating our website and handling marketing materials and sending out emails and doing outreach and figuring out which groups we should reach out to next and all the things we need to have happen to continue to execute on our plans. The biggest limiting factor for any Agile team is how quickly we can do things. There's a finite size where teams get to be too big. We aren't there yet. And we add more people to our team, we know we'll have to go through some phases of formation to get back to high performing again. But once we do, it just means we can take in more every iteration and deliver more value every time through. You know, Sumit asks, can folks outside Richmond volunteer? Yes. How? Don't know yet. That's a great question. But yes, I'm not going to turn away anyone who would like to volunteer. If you would like to volunteer, send us an email. I know president@agilerichmond.com works. I'm pretty sure volunteers with an S at agilerichmond.com also works. Charlene, I hear you say that you would clone me. I don't know if that's the case. Are there going to be monthly chats similar to how Nova Hackers holds their events? So Kat, if you don't mind, I'm going to say, please tell me more.
Why, sure thing, Braz. So, Nova Hackers is a group up in Nova, specifically around the DC region, that holds chats very frequently, once a month on Zoom, where people can sign up for 15-minute time slots, give a brief presentation, and then they have like a Q&A session after.
I love that idea. That's a great idea. Can I put you on the spot?
You probably could. Just hit me up. I'll put my email down for you.
Fantastic. So the short answer is there are lots of things we can do. Back to Chris's question about what do we need. We need to prioritize our backlog and recognize that given our team size right now, here are the things we can commit to. And if we had more, agilevolunteers@gmail also works. Thank you, Charlene. That we can go ahead and get more of these things done. Sky mentioned this morning and mentioned it to me when we reached out to her to do our mindfulness session. She's like, boy, I sure would love to have a mindfulness group. I said, is that something that Agile Richmond could do? I said, sure, Sky. How do you want to volunteer and help us do it? And that's really the question. Yes, we can do it. Yes, we are happy to support. And in a lot of cases, we're happy to take on some of the work. But the biggest thing we can do is amplify, support, and make available the network and the experience that we have so that you can get your ideas started. And I love the idea of the tech talks. I love that, Kat. I love the idea of a mindfulness session. Thank you, Sky. Let us help. And when you guys get to be awesome, go continue to be awesome. And we'll support you for as long as you need support.
Hey, Braz, Kat had
Hey.
another question in there that I think is worth pointing out, asking
Jim?
about, do we have a Slack or Discord channel for the community?
Boy, we sure do. Thanks for
She
asking.
teed that up very nicely. Yeah.
It did. That was perfect. We do. We sure do have a Slack channel for the public. We have a public Slack channel on the Agile Richmond Slack. If it were any easier to get into the Slack channel, I would make it so you could just one-click join. I'm not that fancy yet. If you want to volunteer because you know how to do that, please let me know. For now, if you'd like to join our public Slack channel, send us an email to slack-request@agilerichmond.com and we'll add you right in. Okay, so before I'm done, any other questions that we want to talk about before? Thank you, Jim, for sharing that. If we could add some of those volunteer opportunities to the website, yes, Chris, we should. Hey, Chris, if you want to start updating our website, we can talk about how to get you permission to our Git repo and start making commits and pull requests into our website. Really just a bootstrap site, pretty straightforward. So again, yes, that would be a great way to do it. So thank you, everybody. Let's get on to one more thing. If I can get my little chat window closed. Thank you. Hey, less talking. More raffly.